Hi everyone.
Hello.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
All right. We live, y'all.
We are live. A long time coming.
Welcome, everyone.
Welcome back to our Emotional Health Thursdays. I know it's been a while since we've done this on live. We've been posting it directly on Zoom and then here. So I hope you can join us for today's session, and then hopefully moving forward, this can be the dynamic.
Absolutely. We've been doing them on Zoom/YouTube and putting them into the group, but we decided that we're going to start going live. It still will just be once a month, and it'll usually be the third Thursday of each month.
Yeah.
So we're here. Let's see if I can find us.
Oh yeah, that everyone is what I always forget.
That way we can get started. We're going to talk today about minority health, or is it mental health?
Oh no,
It's
mental
just,
health.
Minority Health Month awareness, and there's some other awareness days/month that also happen in April. And so we hope that you're able to ask some questions and some comments so that we can make this interactive as we like to do.
Definitely.
And if not, we hope that this will give you some good information to take with you throughout the rest of the month.
Definitely. And we'll make sure you're the appointed engagement person. So
If I can get it, pressure.
If anyone comments,
Oh, here we
Sharea will see it and let us know.
Absolutely, I'm in there, people.
Yeah. And then I'll be guiding along with the doc, and Alexis it's gonna be a conversation. So
Yes.
yeah, feel free to comment, definitely engage with us, and we can make this more conversational. So, of course, happy April. April, I hope it's been treating you all well.
Oh, yeah, I gotta mute this.
And as the flowers and the trees are blooming around us, I hope that we also are blooming in various areas of our lives. Like Sharea mentioned earlier, April has a lot of awareness months or days, and this includes Autism Awareness Day, which was April 2nd, World Health Day, which is April 7th, and Earth Day, which is coming up on April 22nd. So for that day, that's the day to celebrate the world and even just kind of giving back to the earth as it treats us.
What's that?
April 22nd.
Oh, wow, okay. That's this week. Oh, no. Next week.
Next Tuesday. Yeah.
Okay.
And then as a month, April is also Stress Awareness Month, Child Abuse Awareness Month, and then for today, Minority Health Month. Since this group is called Self-Care for Black Girls and, of course, women, we thought it would be important to honor Minority Health Month and speak about the importance of getting those health checks as Black women.
Absolutely.
So the first question for us here, and also for anyone watching back, is how often do you get your health checks? Is it routine, or is it when you're not feeling well, or whatever else?
So I definitely am a person who stays on mine. I think having a sister who passed away early in her adulthood, it made me more of a realist around keeping checks on my health so that I can be aware to do as much prevention, but also to catch things as early as possible in some cases. So for me, I'm on it. Like we talked last month, I was coming from my mammogram. Next week I'll be going to a GYN. So I'm already like planned out something each month until my birthday month in July. So
Me, opposite, but I'm changing, okay, because we all have room to grow.
Yes.
So in my earlier years, I would only go to my gynecologist. I would keep that exam. I would make sure that I would go, and then once I became pregnant, of course I would go. But a primary care doctor, no, really wouldn't find any need for that. And I think mine stemmed from, as a child, I used to have asthma attacks a lot. So I had to go to the doctor all the time. I always had to get medicine. I always had to get like steroids. And I was just like, the doctors always just find something wrong. So I'm not going. But I'm recovering, and I pay a lot in health insurance now. So, I'm also like, I'm gonna get my money's worth type of girl. So I'm up. All of my appointments are scheduled, booked.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be getting everything done.
That's good. That's your progress. I know for me, my mom is a nurse, and a lot of my family members are in the healthcare field, so they very much ingrained go get your checkups, and also the money part where we're paying so much in health insurance, like you have to go. And I think because my mom is a nurse, she always made it important when I was younger to take us to get like annual and biannual, whatever else, like health checks. And so I think I've kind of taken from that. I'm always on top of it, and it's helpful. The doctors also nowadays will reach out. It's like, okay, it's time for your next
absolutely.
That helps a lot because I don't keep track. I'll be honest. Like I know the basics, like eye care for my contacts and glasses, dental, but everything else is helpful to get the reminders, and then I'll just go once I get that reminder. So there's a range.
Yeah, that, I mean, it definitely is a range. But it also comes with, experience. Like, as your life changes or you have things happen, you will change it accordingly. Like, paying for insurance is expensive. I'm going to go.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
If I didn't have insurance, I would not go.
Yeah, exactly.
So.
Yeah. And now we're going to look at the importance of these health checks, especially for us as Black women. Regular health checks are vital, not just for the individual well-being, but for community health and generational wellness. One is about early detection, and as we know that this does help to save lives. Black women are often diagnosed later with conditions like breast cancer, heart disease, and diabetes, which can make treatments even harder.
And I think that is the reality check for us as Black women. A lot of the statistics show that we have some of the highest rates of all of the different ailments. Those were just a few that you listed, but most of them show, and a lot of it has to do with not just the practices of the medical profession, but also the lack of trust that we might have in healthcare systems, right? So our trauma experience individually, but even as a community in whole, and then also just the trust level of someone outside of our culture or families trying to quote unquote service or help us. And I think when you do that, you lose the chance to have preventative care instead of responsive care. And that becomes where we have such a higher mortality rate with certain ailments that someone could literally get treatment for early enough and survive.
Completely. Yep, and that's why regular screenings like mammograms, blood pressure checks, and pap smears help to catch these issues early when they're most treatable, like Sharea just said. And of course, there are other ailments that Black women are at higher risk for. This includes heart disease, which is the leading cause of death amongst Black women, fibroids, which I think even with social media we're getting more and more awareness about. Also type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, lupus as well, and triple negative breast cancer. And so again, it's important for us to have these regular checkups as they help to manage or even prevent these conditions. Okay. Along with our physical health, our mental health also is equally as important. So Black women do experience high levels of chronic stress, racial trauma, and caregiver fatigue, but are often underdiagnosed or dismissed in mental health settings.
Absolutely.
Caregiver fatigue, that should be a whole episode on its own for Black women. Go ahead, I'm sorry. When I heard it, I was like, yeah, isn't that right?
Yeah. And so again, mental health screenings can lead to early support, especially for anxiety, depression, and burnout. I'm gonna write down that caregiver fatigue. Or could you help me write it down at the bottom?
Oh, I'm sorry.
To talk about. No, that's a good point. And also, if you are interested in just getting a mental health screening or just getting access to that like mental health awareness, we have a wellness fair coming up in July.
Yes.
Shout out.
Shameless plug. Shameless plug.
Yes, Saturday, April 12th. No,
Oh,
Saturday,
July
July
12th.
12th.
July 12th.
July 12th at our location, which we'll post in this group as time gets closer.
Absolutely.
But we have the wellness fair coming up, and it's around all things BIPOC mental health and wellness. We'll have things including mental health screenings. We'll have activities that you can join. We'll have like different vendors who do things around wellness. Hopefully we'll have music. We'll have good energy.
Absolutely.
And yeah, definitely come and check it out.
I'll be the DJ.
It's gonna be a
Oh,
time.
that's right. Yeah. I'm gonna be the DJ. Y'all.
It's gonna be a time.
It'll be a good time. And then back to the importance of Black women's health. It's also important to challenge medical mistrust with empowerment. So we know that due to a long history of racism in the healthcare system, many Black women are understandably cautious, but reclaiming health through regular check-ins is a form of radical self-care and resistance. Being informed and empowered in appointments helps build trust with providers and also to demand equitable treatment.
And I don't know if we're gonna talk about this, but being able to advocate for yourself in those treatments or in those settings is also about getting more familiarity with being there and being present and kind of knowing, okay, I go there and I didn't ask this question, but they also didn't ask. So next time I'm coming prepared, right? So then you get the ability to say what you're missing versus also what you have to prepare for your next I'm gonna say therapy, but next session or next doctor's visit. Because I think a lot of times that fear and the stigma has a level of fear on us as well, where it's like, I'm going to the doctors, but I'm not sure what to say. I'm not sure what to ask. I'm not sure if I'm the person that's supposed to initiate this question versus the doctor should be, right? So being able to start learning, all right, we go in there and you got me for 15 minutes and you're not asking any questions. I don't like that. I may need a new nurse or a new nurse practitioner or a doctor to be able to give me the right questions since I'm still early in my learning how to advocate for myself. So I think when you get more exposure, you get more opportunities to see the differences in the types of doctors and who feels right for you according to asking the right questions, but also seeing you as a whole person.
And even in this point as well, it makes me think about when I really learned how to advocate for myself in the medical space. And that was college times. Like I've now gone off to college. And that's when I started to struggle with a condition that's still newly diagnosed for Black women. It's called HS or hidradenitis suppurativa, something like that. And it's a condition where you basically just get like swellings in different parts of your body, especially those areas where you sweat a lot more on. And it wasn't diagnosed or at least named until maybe like 5 years ago.
Oh wow.
But before that, a lot of Black women would experience it, but doctors just wouldn't know what it was. They'd say maybe it's just a lump, maybe it's a cyst, etc., etc.
Everything is cyst.
Yeah. And I know even my first time I had it removed surgically. They didn't know what it was. They tested it for cancer. All was well. And then I had a series of other appointments with different dermatologists. And I had to learn how to, one, take notes during the appointments of what they're telling me, of what I'm seeing and what I'm experiencing. And then with each new provider, I was able to speak more to what I was actually going through, the pain that I was experiencing. And then by the time, I think my third time going back, they had a name. And then I talked to my friends about it, and my friends were also dealing with it and didn't even know. And that was just a big learning curve for me of, okay, this is what it is. I can speak about it in these different spaces to spread awareness, but also just to get the support that I needed. And eventually, like it's now treated where I'm no longer dealing with the like I guess episodes in some ways when it's re-inflamed. But it's still so new that no one knows about it, and I just had to learn to have a voice in that regard. So please do not ignore whatever you're experiencing, for one. And even if doctors say, oh, I don't know what this is, continue to push for what you're going through. Tell them what you're going through, and hopefully over time, things can be diagnosed properly. And then next up here, we have legacy and longevity. And this means prioritizing our health as it helps Black women break cycles of silence, stigma, especially, and sacrifice. It sets an example for younger generations, which shows that self-care is not selfish, but rather essential. Okay. And last but not least, we have advocating for your body in your life, where regular health checks gives Black women a space to say, I know my body, I deserve to be heard, and I deserve to be well. This is not just about surviving, it's about thriving, aging joyfully, and reclaiming wellness on your own terms.
Absolutely, I love that.
Yeah. Okay, and now we've already kind of begun to speak about this, but factors that make it difficult for Black women to seek help. And so the first question again for the group is, what factors have deterred you from getting your usual health check-ins in the past?
I think fear. I know for me, prior to my sister getting ill and sick, I think part of it was the unknown and not knowing what I was going to hear, like thinking that every time you went to the doctors, it was going to mean something equates to being wrong. So I think there was this level of fear that there might be something wrong with me that I don't know, and maybe not knowing is better than knowing. I think that if I was to be honest, that was probably what it was more or less before. After that, I really don't have too much hang-ups. I'm like, now tell me so I can know. So they can either decide to do something or not to do something rather than just pretend like to be blind to it. So I think fear for me.
I think for me, it was just, it stemmed again from childhood, just feeling disempowered. And just like, because my grandmother, you know, she's the generation, you know, you just blindly trust the person with the degree. And so if a doctor said you need to take this, then you take this. And for me, even though my body was, as a child, was telling me like, this is steroid overload, like you don't need this much. And I would shake and I would have all types of symptoms, and I'm just like, I don't want to take this. And I'm like, you're going to take it. You're taking your medicine because you're not going to have another asthma attack. And it's just like, it took actually my grandfather saying like, listen, I was raised in the South with asthma, and the closest doctor was like 5 miles away.
And I lived.
And like this medicine is probably not helping. So again, it took, like when I got to college and I had a choice, and I'm like, I'm not taking like this albuterol every day. I'm not doing it. I'll strengthen my lungs. I'll work out. I'll try to do things to help it, is when I felt better. And then I guess from that, it was like, well, then what do I need a doctor for? Because you just want to give me medicine. You don't want to help me get better without medicine. And the medicine makes me feel worse. So I think for me, it was just feeling like even when I didn't have a voice as a child. Like even though I did have a voice and I did try to voice it, it was absolutely shut down. It was silence. And then realizing after I was pregnant and going to the doctors, and it's like that feeling came up again when I was trying to voice something, and the doctor was like, oh, well, no, it's not this. And then that's when I was just like, it is. It is
enough. I'm standing up for you.
Yeah, it is.
But I think that sounds
Granny ain't here today.
That's an example of medical trauma, right? When we think about the level of medical trauma that Black women experience, you were about to go into childhood and childbirthing, and that becomes a very specific discussion that when we think about the mortality rate for Black women that is unheard of in other women, it just makes sense where you're not being heard, you're not listened to, and so it's this real fear that somebody might not listen to you and you could die. Like, but in your case, it's this real fear that nobody listened because you know for a fact they didn't.
And I suffered. Yeah. Like I suffered.
Yeah. Definitely. I know for me, I think it was only like a short period when I didn't have insurance that I was like, I'm not gonna go to that. Like I've done it last year.
No, that's right.
There's
an expense I'm not willing to
at all. Like I did all my health checks like in the beginning, and then I lost the insurance, and then I was like, I'm good. Like, I got it done earlier. But then of course by the next year I was like, okay, let me get back on it. So yeah, money's a real thing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, healthcare is expensive. We don't like to talk about it, and in this country even more so, because you're really not doing preventative care. You're doing responsive, which means everything that happens, you then got to pay for after more and more money. I think that's also a part of the fear, is that they're going to just keep getting you more things to have to pay for, like medicines or scripts and this and that. So it's an ongoing battle in this system too.
Yeah. And even to your points about like treatment versus just kind of managing, like some doctors, instead of finding a prevention, they just kind of keep you coming back for more medication.
Right.
And it gets so exhausting. Like,
and then with some people who have chronic illness, it gets exhausting enough where you just don't even care no more.
You
like
just accept it.
It's like, I'm gonna accept that this is the way I have to live, and not realizing that it's somewhat, again, another trauma that you're dealing with, the fact that the chronic illness is taking over your life.
Yeah, it's not a good time. And so now we're gonna look at some more factors, and I'll try to breeze through this because it just gets depressing. All the negative things of like the barriers.
I don't want to do. That's why we don't want to go, because it's just so many negative barriers.
Like seriously, I mean, one is what Sharea already mentioned, which is medical mistrust. which is rooted in a history of medical racism and exploitation of Black women and Black people. For example, the Tuskegee study, Henrietta Lacks, forced sterilizations. The list goes on.
That right there. You know, part of this is funny because that's why ethics were even created in terms of some practicing, some of the actual Tuskegee. There's the Guatemala where they were doing the same thing, not up until like 70 something. And so you're not even talking like 50 years, 100 years ago. You're talking really time frames in which our parents and our grandparents were still alive or young enough to remember. And people, you know, to pretend like that doesn't stay in our bodies and in our minds and in our family conversations, it seems unrealistic.
Completely.
Like,
Yeah.
you talk about the syphilis that they give people to kind of test. That's the Tuskegee in one area, but there was also other ways that they did very similar things.
And it's still happening.
Sterilization with women in Puerto Rico.
There was a recent
That
thing
part.
that was exposed about a study that's being done in, I forgot what country in Africa it's happening, and it's like last year, like very recent.
Yeah,
tests
exactly.
are being done, people are dying, and it's all in the name of research, like medical research. So it's crazy how things are still being done and people are finding their loopholes where it's less regulated.
And then it's also, when we look at it from the other angle, it's the severity of those types of studies that they'll put us in, but they won't put us in the dermatology one that you might need for your skin or your care.
Right.
They won't put us in the ones that are related to breast cancer prevention and all those things. They'll put you in the ones where we need someone to sacrifice the body and the culture, and yours is acceptable to die, not theirs.
Serious.
And so it's interesting that in that same breath, those studies are still happening in Africa, but they would never do that here and say that it was okay. Like,
Completely.
you wasn't lying.
It's only the first one. But yeah, we know that many Black women feel dismissed, disrespected, or not believed by providers, and this can lead to a deep and justified wariness of the healthcare system. Next is, again, being dismissed or misdiagnosed, where Black women often report not being taken seriously, especially around pain, symptoms, or mental health concerns. Research shows that providers sometimes minimize or ignore Black women's symptoms, leading to dangerous delays in diagnosis or care. Yeah. And I'm thinking for this one, even like fibroids, where women would be told, oh, you just need to go on a diet, you just need to do this. But the whole time, there's something actually happening internally.
Absolutely.
Even PCOS before it became an official thing. It's just, oh, your periods are just heavier because of this reason. Your weight, you just need to do this. And it's so much that's happening in our bodies that we need help for.
That is more than just lose some weight.
When we're socialized to normalize that amount of pain and say that that's just what having a menstrual cycle is, sweetheart. You're just gonna take off 3 days of school because you're barreled over in pain. It's like, no, this ain't normal,
And it shouldn't be seen as normal.
Yeah, this isn't normal. And then if you haven't had children yet, so you're not scheduled for any type of ultrasound, but you go, so they don't even do like extensive
Absolutely.
testing to make sure. Like, I had a friend who it took, we're 35, almost 36. She was just diagnosed last year.
Wow.
If I were, then she was going for and multiple gynecologists for years, saying like, I'm having this really heavy bleeding, really heavy clotting, all these things, and irregularity, all these things, and it was just like, oh, you know,
it's like they're trying to wait on you to get sick enough to then you end up, if you did want to have children, you're not able to, or possibly could harm your possible ability to have it. But just talk about that as a disgusting. I'm sorry.
It's so layered.
I'm like, it's so layered in this.
And even I know we're
Those
talking
other
about
people,
more like, I don't even want to say severe, but I'm thinking about things relating to pleasure as well, because I've been listening to podcasts around this and just Black women's experience when it comes to pleasure, when it comes to sex, and
the pain, the feelings that you're not allowed to talk about.
exactly
Because you were told in there that it was normal and this is the way the cycle's supposed to be for you, but now it's impacting the rest of the month and the pleasure you might feel when you're having it.
And it's tied to also just shame about talking about sex to someone else, even shame about talking about to your girlfriend sometimes, and then you're not getting help because you don't know who to go to. It's all very layered, and then doctors are dismissing you because you just need to firm it.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
And how would you, if you've never tried tampons and you've never, tried, vaginal and penis intercourse, how would you know you have vaginismus? Some people don't.
Exactly.
And then when that happens, and you're just like, something's wrong with me. Yeah, something, and it's like,
no, you're fine.
We're like, no, it's supposed to.
It.
It's supposed to hurt.
No.
Not all my life.
Not like this.
I think that would be a really good topic to talk about one day. I was listening to a podcast. That's where it came from. Yeah.
Write it down.
A podcast where someone wrote in anonymously about waiting till marriage because of their Christian belief, but then experiencing pain. Like they just no longer want to have sex, and they didn't know who to go to. They're writing in anonymously because of that reason.
You can't talk to anybody about it. The shame that you might feel, and then it's like, is this how everyone feels? Because you don't know because you're
Exactly.
Good topic.
Yeah.
If y'all have topics that y'all would be interested in us talking, feel free to put them in the comments as well.
Definitely.
Let us know.
Yeah. And if any of what we're talking about so far resonates with you, also please put it in the comments. Okay. The next thing here when it comes to factors that make it difficult for Black women to seek help is the strong Black woman stereotype. And this really is just cultural messaging, which encourages Black women to be resilient, self-sacrificing, and emotionally stoic. And this can lead to internalized pressure to push through illness or avoid appearing vulnerable. And as a result, many Black women prioritize others' needs over their own health.
This is one that I just feel like, especially in the maternal world, is abused and not talked about enough. And even just the things that are said to women, Black women specifically, about even the shape of our bodies. Oh, you have childbearing hips. So you have sciatica problems. You shouldn't have a problem carrying. You have childbearing hips. You shouldn't have any issues. And again, another one of my friends was told, like, she was in labor and was like, oh, you'll do fine. Like you were built for this.
Oh, shucks.
What does that mean?
Thank you, ma'am or sir. I heard them.
Like
what? And I know it brings up this this stigma, and then also when you are wanting to talk about it, like we said before, it's almost, you already go with your guard up. So I know for me, I opted for a C-section after laboring for 26 hours. And so I had already had an epidural. So they were like, we can add some more, and it was my husband who was like, if she feels a thing, you better be giving her more medicine. And I remember they were just like, can you feel this? And I'm like, no. And then they went to move me. I just did like a slight little wince, he was like, she's feeling something.
He was like, I will be
and
the voice.
He was on it. And so it was just
good for him.
Because all while I labored, it was just like, and for me, again, it was my first time having a child, and you see the movies and you hear the stories, and I'm like, oh, it's supposed to be painful. It's supposed to be painful. So they were just like, do you want something to help? And I'm like, no, because So he saw, like, even in that moment, and usually I'm a big advocate. I'll advocate for myself, but he saw, like, in that moment, like you're
trying to stand up to this old,
and it's like,
because even we internalize the strong Black woman thing. Whether we like it or not, we still want to feel like we represent that strength or that resilience that people have stereotyped us, right? Because it's like, okay, if I don't stand up in this moment, then what do I look like? Right? And instead of it being that I'm just looking like myself, I'm looking like this pain hurts me.
Yeah,
like it doesn't matter if it didn't hurt to other people.
Right.
It's hurting me.
Truly.
But that's sad. Next month is mental or maternal health month, so we can always grab it a little bit, even if we just do half of it on this topic. Because I do think that's important to come back to, because even when we just earlier talked about the mortality rate, it's part of those stories, those are unvoiced, and then feeling like you can't voice yourself, but also not knowing what to expect.
Yes.
So the educational part too. So I think it would be cool to share, because I know we're going to do mental health as well, but I think maybe we could share the month to talk about both if we had the space.
I think that's good. And even talking about C-section, how Black women are often pushed to just have a C-section when they don't even need it. That's a prevalent thing. Yeah. Okay. And next here we have stigma around mental health. In some communities, seeking help for mental or emotional struggles is seen as being weak or crazy. And then there's a lack of language and space for Black women to name and process mental health challenges safely. And then next we have access and affordability, where structural inequality often means less access to health insurance, quality care, or culturally competent providers. And then also thinking about time off of work, transportation, and childcare can also be real barriers.
For mental health and health, or just all of it?
All of it.
Got it. All of it. That's right.
I've heard people who say, "Oh, I don't have time off, so I'm just gonna like postpone." But then the longer you're postponing, the worse your health is getting, and you don't even know what's going on.
And the same with mental health, right? I don't have the time. My kids, I don't have anybody to watch them. And a lot of our services are not set up for maybe a child to be present, you know? So it does, it starts to weigh on the individual, specifically talking to Black women, as it's a choice that people think I'm making, but my access to the choice is about my experience and in my environment. And sometimes I just don't have either the income, the supports, or other things that can allow me to get sometimes the help I need.
Completely. And then next, we're almost there, guys. Next, we have lack of representation, where seeing few or no Black women providers or culturally aware clinicians can make it harder to trust or be open. And cultural disconnection in care can feel alienating, leading many to avoid seeking help altogether.
Yeah.
And from my experience, is the Black providers, medical providers who are available, they have such a heavy caseload where you sort of feel like, I mean, the quality then goes down, and it's like, okay, so now I have to wait 3 months for this thing that I need to see this doctor.
The quality in the response, not the quality in the person, because
not the quality in the care.
That clear.
Yeah, but the quality in the response, where it's like, it'll take me 6 months to get in here, right? But I need this handled. I need this taken care of.
That's sad too, because it's like you want to be able, like I'm grateful in this time right now. I have all of my doctors are either a person of color or Black women, specifically, and to get there took years. And some of them, like, I don't miss my appointments for that reason too, because I may not be able to see them again for another 3 months when I needed to see them like tomorrow.
Right.
So I definitely can agree where it's like you want to be able to get that culturally responsive care from someone who can identify, but it's not always there. That's why it's so important in my mind for us to make sure that we train people to start seeing people in their cultures.
Completely. I agree. I remember one time I was like terribly ill, and I went to my doctor, he's a Nigerian guy, and he's been seeing me since I came to the US. But when I called the office, they were like, "No, you can't come in, and he doesn't have any availability for weeks." And I was like, "I'm dying."
Yeah, I'm dying now.
I was like, "What do you mean he has no availabilities?"
No, you can't come in.
Like, my mom was like, "Just call him directly. Like, call and demand to speak with him specifically." And so I did that. And again, I got the pushback. He's busy. You can't talk to him. I was like, I need to talk to him right now.
Yeah, I'm dying now. Like, I'm sick to the point I need you.
And so I got on the phone. I finally got him, and he was like, "Come in today." And this is what it's important to have a doctor who actually sees you as a person and is willing to advocate for you. Because if I left it to the receptionist,
based off of a schedule,
I would have been done.
But I mean, and to give some of the doctors credit, I guess where it's due, it's turned into like a lot of the mental health field where it's owned by corporations and they're pushing numbers. So it's like you got to see way more than you even feel is ethically correct to see. Like, why am I seeing 25 clients when I really should be seeing 10? Because now I can only give them 15 minutes where they may need a lot more time. Because I know from my doctor, that was one thing that she had stated. She was like, "Listen, I'm gonna stay here with you, but the stuff they talking about." But it was, I didn't even think that would be something that would happen. I don't know why. I mean, we live in corporate America.
Managed care.
Yeah.
Facts. All right, next we have historical and intergenerational trauma. And we know that generational pain and silence around mental illness and trauma can create a legacy of just deal with their mentalities. Black women may carry unspoken burdens from family, community, and society that discourage self-focus or vulnerability. And then last but not least is cultural competence gaps in healthcare. And this means that many providers are not trained to understand the Black woman's lived experiences, cultural frameworks,
right,
or believe it, or even just have holistic approaches to health. And then this contributes to miscommunication, stereotyping, and harmful assumptions in care.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because I want to say recently I talked to a group of social workers / therapists, and it was frightening because some of the thinking is that we're all the same, and when you start doing that, you don't make way for the upbringings and the backgrounds and the experience of how I navigate something differently than Faith may navigate it, based off of culture, but also of age, based off of demographics, other things and factors. And when you start eliminating those things as important, you're really not servicing the whole person. You're servicing what you assume about all of us. And that assumption is always going to be from your perspective and your culture. And so you got to be really careful when you start thinking that we're all the same, because when you do that, you eliminate the ability to really see a whole person within their culture. And it's scary because, you know, us the therapists are just different people, but a doctor does that often, and then they're medically trained sometimes to do that.
Yeah.
So they see you as the illness, not the individual experiencing the illness.
Right.
So.
And it's really deeply rooted. Like I have my friends that are in med school, they're talking about how they see the systemic injustice being reinforced in their programs, and it's shocking for them in the system. It's shocking for us experiencing it outside of the system. Like everyone is seeing it on all grounds.
And then you seem to be pushing back if you're a doctor who tries to go against the norm.
Completely. So now we're gonna look at ways to break through these barriers to care. As we know that breaking through the barriers requires a mix of empowerment, advocacy, and systemic change, along with the culturally grounded strategies that honor lived experiences. One is naming the barrier without shame. This means acknowledging that hesitation, fear, or frustration with the system is valid and rooted in real experiences.
Absolutely.
And then giving language to the challenge, such as I've been dismissed before, or I don't feel safe in that space, is a first step toward reclaiming agency. Next is finding culturally competent providers. So looking for Black women providers or those trained in culturally responsive care. You can use directories like Psychology Today and set your preferences on there. There's Therapy for Black Girls, which, you know, has mixed like accessibility. Also Black female therapists, Health in Her Hue, HUE. There's also ZocDoc, with identity filters. And then if you can't find a provider who shares your background, you can interview potential providers about their cultural awareness and values. And also a tip, especially for mental health care, is just schedule for consultations so that you can get to know the person without having to commit, and you can choose from there. Next is bring an advocate or ally. So kind of like Alexis was saying with her husband in the room, taking a trusted friend, partner, or a family member to appointments, and having someone there can help you ask questions, document information, and hold providers accountable.
Absolutely.
Next, we have prepare to advocate for yourself. So kind of like I mentioned before for my case, going to appointments with written questions, symptom logs, or health concerns, and then practice saying things like, I need you to take this seriously. Can you explain this in plain language? And I'm not comfortable with that. What are my other options?
And pictures. Take receipts. If something's happening, if something's coming out of your body, and you feel like it should not, take the picture. Because sometimes we're trying to describe something, and the doctors will be like, well, wait till it happens again. And it's like, I don't want it to happen again.
That's the purpose of you helping me to know if I can prevent this and or stop it from happening.
Because I'm not medically trained, so some things that occur are normal. And they're like, oh, okay, that's, after certain things.
And they may know once they see it.
Right, and they may know after they see it, rather than me saying because I can be a bit animated. I can sometimes. Because to me, that's what it was.
Which, hey, they should be able to do
yes.
that.
And that is a good point because I know for me, I don't know if anyone experiences this, but sometimes when I'm going through something and I schedule an appointment, by the time the appointment
It's
comes,
over.
it's
Yeah.
over. And I'm sitting like,
I swear I was trying
Yesterday.
I swear it was
Dying
there.
yesterday.
It was right there.
I had this cough.
That happens to me all the time,
All the
so it's not
time.
you, it's all of us.
And they're like, yeah, just come back when it's happening.
And I'm like,
wait.
what, are you gonna see me
Yeah.
exactly tomorrow in 5
Yeah.
minutes?
So take a
It
picture.
started
It's so
happening in the
real.
car.
I know.
Take a video if you want to vlog it. Like, see?
Seriously.
Have your receipt.
Ah, that's funny. I know that's right, because
But
that
there-
happens all the time.
And I'm just like, oh God, not
Like,
again.
wait, why did I get here and I don't got no fever? I had a fever all the way up until 5 minutes ago.
See, it's like that day of you wake up feeling good. You're just like,
They ain't gonna believe
That
it.
psychosomatic part of the healing.
seriously.
It's
Oh
like,
my
I
God.
know I'm going to a doctor.
Mhm.
Feel better now.
It's like,
But the writing it down is definitely important. That's something that I teach when I'm teaching young adults about their gynecological appointments, because you may not, like you said, you may forget some things that have happened or some things that have occurred. You may have had some questions, and then when you get there, after they poked and probed, you may be like, "Oh, I forgot what I wanted to even say because I'm trying to recover."
or you're feeling anxious.
Right.
Like,
Because this in itself is an experience.
Yes. So definitely, like, write it down and
So
don't
are we
let
going
them,
out for coffee after.
and don't let them leave until you asked all your questions.
seriously.
And they've given you answers, and you write the answers next to it.
Mhm.
So having it written down is definitely
Now that
helpful.
you've given me everything I needed today.
Mhm.
Yes.
Are we going to eat?
A mess. And then, of course, educating yourself, but don't self-silence. This means learning about your health conditions through trusted sources like Mayo Clinic, Black Women's Health Imperative, even NMHC.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I can't remember all the initials.
Yeah, but
The health.
online.
Yeah.
Mhm, it's there. And then remember, you don't need to be a doctor to deserve care. Your
Mhm.
experience is real. Also, prioritize rest and your mental health. This means challenging the strong Black woman myth by resting unapologetically and making your wellness a
Mhm.
priority. And also using affirmations, mindfulness, and journaling to counter stigma and care for your emotional well-being. Okay. Next, we have seeking low-cost or community-based options. Explore free clinics, sliding scale services, mutual aid funds, and telehealth platforms. Some culturally specific organizations offer wellness grants or therapy stipends.
Good luck out there in them streets.
Listen.
Right now, get it while you can.
Seriously.
Sadly.
Yeah. Trust your instincts
Mhm.
and leave if needed. If a provider is dismissive, invalidating, or untrustworthy, you are allowed to walk away. Finding the right care may take time, but you are worth the search. And then our last two are engaging in community healing spaces, join groups, another shameless plug, join the group for all things love and relationships, which is starting this coming Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. You can join workshops or even events for Black women centered around wellness, joy, and rest. Collective healing helps to reduce isolation and normalizes help seeking. Last but not least, affirm yourself along the way. Repeat to yourself, I am not hard to help. I am worthy of healing. My voice matters in every room I enter.
All right. Those are our affirmations.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
Say them again.
I am not hard to
I
help.
love that one.
I am worthy of healing.
And that one.
My voice matters in every room I enter.
Those are our affirmations.
Yeah,
for
I was
today.
hard.
I'm like, we're not gonna do. Those are gonna be it. I feel like those are the strong, especially with the point. It's like you need to be heard. You need to acknowledge that you're worth being heard, and you need to know that it's not a mistake that you have these feelings. So honor what you really are feeling. Like too often we just dismiss it. Like, oh, it's not that serious. They said it wasn't that serious, so I should just move on. No, if you still feel like it's serious, find another doctor.
Yeah.
Find another provider that will listen to you in a way that will help you to at least reconcile how you're feeling about it.
Completely. Right. So while things are shifting on a systemic level, it's just important, if not more, to do the work and advocate for ourselves on the personal level. This also helps us to set the precedence for our future generations,
Yes.
for our communities, and our loved ones. So I hope this has been encouraging for you to get the frequent or the regular health checks if you don't already, And if you do, just kind of learning more tips on how to make it a routine, right? Now our wellness tips.
Drink your water, sis. Mine is actually empty almost now.
Same.
Drink your water, sis. Get your rest. Make sure that you are taking care of your check-ins and health care depending on what you need. Each of us have different needs at different points. So giving yourself those checkpoints around what your health and your needs are. Make sure, I said sleep. Did I say that one? Get your rest. Drink your water. Check your health. Have some mindfulness moments where you're actually taking the time to be present and available to yourself, even if that is just for 1 to 5 minutes before you start your day or when you're getting ready to end your day. Take that time to kind of just be mindful. It could also be a walk. As we talk about walk, make sure you're doing at least 30 minutes of some form of movement. We don't tell you what to do, but we say that movement is always going to be helpful because it helps you to continue moving. And so do it according to your abilities and your actual healing of your own body. And then also, which one am I missing? I feel like I'm missing something.
Joy.
That's the last one.
Compassion, diet.
All right, make sure you're eating those things that look good, but also are good from the earth in terms of being whole and natural. As you are putting them back into your diet, as we're getting closer to the real spring/summer, we are getting closer to some actually really good fruits and vegetables that are going to be easier to get. So make sure that you count them as part of your work this summer/spring as we're going into it. And then last but not least, find some moment of joy. My new thing has been jacks. So if you are not playing jacks, I tell you to get you some. Get on that floor and play some jacks. And I wish I was all close because I was like, we should have a tournament, right? Like, if y'all wanted to come and play jacks, let me know because I'm looking for some competition. I got my husband officially trying to do it tomorrow with me, so let's see. He'll get on the ground. But find that moment of joy. It reminds me of my childhood. It reminds me of my mother, and it helps me just bring myself back to. I can't control everything, but I can control this moment and enjoy it. So,
I love that.
I'm gonna bring them in. We can play jacks.
I don't know.
We gotta go out there though.
Learn.
You want to play jacks?
I've never played jacks.
Look, I'm like, oh Lord. I
I'll
used
watch
to be
videos
good. I'm
now.
not as good as I used to be, but
I'm gonna get on YouTube. By the
Yes.
time we meet, I'll be ready.
yeah. There we go.
And now we're gonna end with gratitude. So what are we grateful for? And if you're watching again, even if you're watching back, please do comment below what you're grateful for.
My God is an awesome God. He reigns
From heaven above.
So I am so grateful to God and just surrounding me with people who believe and who will pray with me, who will be present with me, and no matter what that means on the output of the things that I may get, it still just feels good to be seen and loved by a God. So I'm grateful.
I'm grateful. I am grateful that the Lenten season, if you celebrate, is coming to a close. 2025 is coming to a close. I can't wait to have some trees, potatoes, fruits, all of the things. You name it. It's gonna be on my plate. Yes, and I too am thankful for God's goodness. Okay,
Oh
yes,
my gosh.
his grace is sufficient, and I can't wait for the cornbread to be sufficient as well.
We see somebody stuck to their lip.
Oh my goodness.
Somebody stuck to it.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord. So for those who celebrate, happy resurrection and Lenten season.
Same. I'm grateful for energy. I don't know, lately I've been so like physically depleted. I wake up exhausted and nothing is happening. It's just like, I don't know. And so I've been like missing the gym and all of that.
Oh, well, there is something happening.
Yeah, well,
That
yeah.
impacts our energy.
I think so, but I've been like skipping the gym because I wake up so exhausted that I can't make it out.
Can't get there.
But yesterday I pushed through and I went, and then I actually ended up being more energized after. So I'm thankful that it's back, and hopefully I can maintain it. And yeah, Lent's being over soon, and just getting back to things.
Absolutely.
And a new year. The sun is out longer. The flowers are blooming.
Gotta take our wins.
Yes.
Take them and win.
Yes.
Excited. Cookout season is around the corner.
Yeah.
Like,
Focus.
oh, no, that's right. Y'all take good care of yourself. knows, we will be here every third Thursday at 2:00. I may jump in every now and then when I'm available on Thursdays just to keep it so that way they know we coming. I ain't gonna make no promises every week, but I'll jump in real quick maybe here and there, because I do think it's good to go live. If you guys have some topics, please feel free even to tag myself, Faith, or Alexis with some topics that you'd like us to kind of start the next 6-7 months of the year to kind of make sure that we're also honoring what you want us to talk about on this Emotional Health Thursdays.
Yes, completely. Thank you guys.
All right, be well.
Bye. It's gonna be the brief moment when I walk into it. And then just keep chatting.
We're done. Look, so that way you're not on your own.
Seriously. That was good, actually.